We got some big prospect news to share as Habs 6th round pick Filip Eriksson is putting up some numbers that are going to absolutely shock you. We got to talk about him plus Adam Engstrom and a very, very worrying stat for the Habs first line that includes Josh Anderson, all coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, guys, a quick reminder, haven't done this in a few videos, but over half you guys watching this video, you guys have been subscribing a lot recently, so I really thank you for that. But if you're part of that group, those thousands of people that haven't hit that button and you want to help us reach our goal of 15,000 for our daily Habs videos, hit the button now. We'd really appreciate it. Let's jump first into this, well, it's the first line. And look, we knew that this first line probably wasn't going to work again. When we saw that Juraj Slafkovsky was bumped to the second line with Armia and Monahan, we were like, okay, maybe he'll get some different looks. But the thing that we really didn't like, at least here on the show, was Josh Anderson back on the first line. So I'm going to show you this. Now, make sure you pause here and take a look at the numbers. You might not know what they mean, but I'm going to explain them all to you. The ones I'm going to point out to you mostly are on the right side of this. You'll see XGF percentage and SCF percentage. So these stats, let's break them down. Let's just break them down first before we get into this. So expected goals for percentage, XGF. You can skip most of this, look at the bottom. Basically, if a player's expected goals for percentage is below 50, the team's expected to be outscored. And if it's above 50, they're expected to outscore the opponent. So basically, it's the amount of scoring chances you generate, high danger scoring chances you generate with that line versus how many the other team do when both of them are on the ice. Let's go back to the picture. You'll notice that the first line of Cole Caufield, Nick Suzuki, and Josh Anderson had a 2.57%. I thought that was a typo. I saw someone bring this up online as well. They thought it was a typo. Everyone thought it was a typo. It's not. That basically means that while that line was on the ice against the Islanders were at 97.5 basically percent more likely to score than Montreal. They basically 97.5% of the scoring chances were going to the Islanders with that line on there. But then look at the second line. With Slafkovsky, Monahan, and Armia, they were at 91.33% despite only 4.5 minutes, time on ice 5v5. 91% of the scoring opportunities basically went to them. But let's break it down even further and let's look at the SCF and this basically the high danger scoring chances for and against. So SCF percentage is basically percentage of the total scoring chances for you. But if we want to just go by pure numbers, SCF is the scoring chances for, SCA is the scoring chances against. Pretty decent way to tell if a line's doing good if you look at the scoring chances for and against with a line on the ice. We'll go back to the picture. Take a look at the right side, the last three columns. The top line had 0 scoring chances for when they were all on together 5v5. Now, I know Caufield scored a nice goal, but this is basically just that line when they're on together. 0 scoring chances for, 7 against. Slafkovsky, Monahan, and Armia had 1 scoring chance for, 0 against, and the other lines were actually not that bad. Pearson, Evans, and Gallagher had a lot of 5v5 time, which makes sense because with power plays, penalty kill, these other guys on the other lines are kind of, messing around a bit. But still, the scoring chances for and against and the expected goals for are just almost unacceptable at this point, and it's clearly not Suzuki and Caufield. And again, we love Sean Monahan, yes, but Josh Anderson here, and we really hope that he can turn things around, but it just feels like he's maybe not back up to speed yet from the injury. That's a possibility. But this experiment on that first line doesn't seem to work. Now, this video today is getting recorded before practice, so if the practice lines are out, we might know some more. We'll see if it's still going to be the line that they rock with Saturday against Pittsburgh. So I'm not sure as of the moment of this recording, but let me know in the comments. Discuss in the comments below if you've seen the lines by the time you're watching this video. I think it's due for a change because I don't want to ever see that line again, at least not for the foreseeable future. Yes, it had a good third period against Ottawa, not against the Islanders, so it's a bit worrying that anytime Anderson goes to a line, it tanks it, but really, really hoping he can turn it around and eventually be back to that player that we wish he would be. But the more important and more interesting thing is a bit of Habs prospect news. Now, I say he is shocking everyone right now, and I'm going to get into Filip Eriksson in just a little bit, a really intriguing 19-year-old Habs prospect. But before him, I did also want to mention a quick shout out to Adam Engstrom. There was an article in Montreal Hockey Now. I believe it was Marc Dumont. I could be wrong, but I'll link it in the description regardless, so you guys can go have a look through this prospect report anyway. But we haven't talked about Adam Engstrom in a while. A 20-year-old defenseman. He was really, really rolling last year, and this year he is too, and they say Thomas Grégoire left the team. Engstrom's defensive play has been standing out recently, and he's showing some improvement in an area where he struggled last year. They say one thing that was notable from his game against Färjestad was his low ice time, as the game had quite a few penalties called, along with a rare mistake from him. However, he is still producing very, very well. And Adam Engstrom is one of those guys, we occasionally mention him on the show, but even though he's 20 now, he absolutely has NHL level upside. At the very worst, he'd be a very good Laval player. At least it feels like at this point, because last year was so phenomenal from him. We had so many reports of people saying, like, this dude is legit. So, what do you do if you're Montreal? Well, again, Engstrom is just part of this, crazy, crazy treasure chest of defensemen that the Habs have. It's like a bottomless bucket of defensemen. It's crazy, right? Every time we talk about Lane Hudson, we talk about David Reinbacher. We got Xhekaj coming up. We still have Harris. We have Barron. We have Logan Mailloux. And then we still have Guhle up there. Matheson not traded yet. Savard. And it's just like, how long can you go? And then we still have Adam Engstrom, who we need to add to the mix, because this dude is legit, right? He has legit NHLer upside. And the fact that he is really improving on his defensive game this year is a big bonus as well. So shout out to him. Keep an eye on Adam Engstrom. He's a guy we talked about a lot last year. If you guys aren't paying attention to him, you probably should be a little bit more. Just take a look at his stats every now and then. Not saying go watch, 20-minute highlight reels of Rogel, but still, it's he's a very interesting prospect, and I think he could really impress a lot of fans over here once he finally makes that jump to North America. But the guy that I really wanted to talk about today, and the guy that I sort of teased at the start, is Habs prospect Filip Eriksson. Now, I'm going to show you his stats first. He's a 19-year-old player. He just turned 19 in November. He was drafted last year, the 2023 draft, 6th round, 165th overall. Now, I will also say that part of the reason he was drafted so low is because of an injury that he had. So a lot of teams were starting to pass on him because he wasn't like one of those super high-tier prospects you can afford to gamble on. People were kind of like, we'll see. 6 points in 29 games in the SHL. 0 points in 2 games. He had 10 points in the Swedish Junior League in his draft year. It's like, we'll see. But in his draft plus 1 year this year, you can look there at the Nybro Vikings in the Allsvenska, the Swedish First League. 7 points in 5 games. That's not quite the SHL. It's, I believe, a level below. But still, 7 points in 5 games. That's really good. But it does us no good without any context. Well, what does this mean? Well, I'll show you what it means. In this same article talking about Adam Engstrom, if you compare Filip Eriksson's stats with last year's draft plus 1 players in Hockey Allsvenskan, Eriksson's numbers are intriguing, and the guy, I'm sure you know a lot of these names, Lekarimäki, Liam Ogren, Noah Östlund, but I'd like to look here at Dalibor Dvorsky. Now, Dvorsky, I'll be fair, is a full, 7-8 months younger, and so he was actually playing in the Hockey Allsvenskan at a full year younger than Filip Eriksson is, so these stats were at his kind of age 17, 18 season, while Eriksson's kind of like the age 19 season, but Dvorsky had 14 points in 38 games in Hockey Allsvenskan, right? 6 goals, 8 assists in 38 games. And just a reminder that Filip Eriksson's not that much older. He's only 7-8 months older, and he's at 7 points in 5 games. I know it's a small sample size, but it absolutely is very intriguing. And like we said, before the draft, people knew Eriksson was solid, but it was hard to tell because he was kind of just Swedish junior in 2 games in the SHL, where it's kind of hard to gauge. But he has really been impressing this year. 7 points in 5 games is nothing to sneeze at, right? That's half of Dalibor Dvorsky's production in just 5 games in the same league. I know a year older, whatever. Still, I know that makes a big difference, draft plus 1. But look at what Dalibor Dvorsky is doing now. He has, 24 goals in 28 games in the OHL or something. He's almost at 2 points per game in the OHL. He looks like he's going to be a legit impact NHL player. Obviously, he was drafted 10th overall in the draft. And Filip Eriksson was drafted in the 6th round. Am I saying Filip Eriksson is going to be a first-round pick level talent and going to be on par with Dvorsky? No, because again, he's doing this at a year older. There are very, very distinct differences between these two players. But what I am saying is that getting Eriksson at a 6th-round pick, if these numbers are sustainable, which they may not be, and I'm not going to make any claims that Eriksson's going to be some superstar prospect, but like the article says, it's very intriguing that he is putting up these numbers. He's not that much younger than a guy like Dvorsky. Players all develop very differently again. If we just take a look at him, he's a little small, 5'10", 161, can afford to bulk up a little bit. But those numbers at his age in Hockey Allsvenskan, comparing to some of the other guys who are very highly touted prospects, it could turn out to be a bit of a steal of a pick, maybe worth a 3rd or a 4th round pick in the future. Maybe he can be a depth guy, or maybe he just might turn into a real impact player. But I suggest you guys go look at him yourself. Go check out all the stuff around Filip Eriksson, because he's a really underrated Habs prospect in my opinion, especially someone drafted as low as he was. Really, really cool. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Did you enjoy it? Leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you did. Let me know what you think about Filip Eriksson, Adam Engstrom, and some other great Habs prospects down below. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.